Welcome back to the video. Today we're doing a LeetCode medium of the LeetCode 75. This question is called Asteroid Collision, and then we're giving an array of numbers which represent asteroids. For each asteroid or for each number, the absolute value represents the asteroid size. And then this positive or negative sign represents direction. Positive numbers move to the right, and then negatives move to the left. And then each asteroid moves at the same speed. If two asteroids do collide, one was going to the right, which was positive, and one was going to the left, and it was negative, we have to write the logic to what happens to the asteroid. So the smaller asteroid will explode, the absolute value smaller asteroid will explode, and if both are the same size, both will explode. So here, we're going to be using a stack for this question. So we're going to push 5 to the stack because it's going to the right. We're going to push 10 to the stack because it's going to the right since it's positive. And then we have negative 5. The top of the stack is 10. The absolute value of 10 is greater than negative 5, and they will collide because one's going to the right and then one's going to the left. So negative 5 will be erased because asteroid 10 is bigger. If two asteroids are the same size and they collide, they both destroy each other and you have an empty list. Here, I think it'd be easier if we just write it out. So I'll have a paint open up, like a paint software. We're going to push 10 to the stack. So 10's at the top now. And then we're going to push 2 to the stack because they're both going in the same direction. And then we have negative 5. And this is the top of the stack. And this is the current element in the array. So we're not going to push negative 5 to the stack quite yet because there's going to be a collision. 2 goes to the right, and then negative 5 goes to the left. But the absolute value of negative 5 is bigger. So this asteroid gets destroyed. And now we push negative 5 to the stack. Pretend this 2 is on here. So now negative 5 is still current. And now this is the top of the stack because 2 is gone. So 10 is also going to the right, and negative 5 is going to the left. So there's going to be a collision. Let me redraw it so it looks a little better. 10 and negative 5. So the absolute value of 10 is bigger. So it's going to cancel out the negative 5. So we'll just have 10 left. So that's pretty much it. It's not too hard once you understand it. So let's actually code it up now. What I've been doing, I've been writing all my code in VS Code, and then using the Python debugger to see what where my problems are, so I can actually see what the code is actually doing. So I'm actually going to do that. I have this already copied inside of VS Code. So now it's just coding it up, which is the easy part, because now we actually understand the problem. So as I said, we're going to be using a stack, and then we'll just call it stack, something simple. And then we could iterate through the list, because if we go back to the problem, we're going to iterate through the list, and if they're both going in the same direction, we're going to add it to the stack. So we could say we'll just call the current element just current, and our list is called asteroids. And then we'll have a while loop. In this while loop, we'll say while stack, well, the stack is not empty, and the stack at -1. The stack at -1 just means the top value of the stack. I know in other languages like Java, they call it peak, stack.peak, but we'll just say here stack -1. If this number is greater than 0, that means it's positive and it's going to the right. So that number is going to the right, and the current element is less than 0, that means it's going to the left. So right, let me see if I can pull out paint. Well, one's going to the right, and then one's going to the left. There's going to be a collision. So that's what we're coding right there. So if there's a collision, we just have to write the actual logic. And we'll have a variable, we'll just call it peak, and then we'll set that equal to stack, and how we set at -1. Just like that. And now let's actually write the logic. So we can use if statements, and then we can use the absolute value function. We can say the absolute value of peak, which is just the top of the stack, if that's less than the absolute value of current, which is the current element in the stack, which means, let's go back to our example. Here 5 is current, and then 2 was top. So that means we have to delete the number at the top of the stack. And the way we could do that is just by popping it. So we could say stack dot pop, because that's saying the current asteroid is bigger than the one at the top of the stack. So that's one condition. And then we could do elif the absolute value of peak, which is the top of the stack, is greater than the absolute value of current, which means the top of the stack wins the other asteroid. So we don't have to do anything to current. We could just break out of the loop. And then we could just say break, which will get us out of the loop, and it'll iterate the next element in the array. And then we could do one more statement. We could say elif the absolute value of peak is equal to the absolute value of current. If that's the case, that means that they're the same size and they both get destroyed. So we could say the absolute value of current, and the way we destroy them both, the way we simulate that, we pop the one at the top. That simulates we destroy the top of the stack, the top asteroid, and then we also break out of the loop. That way we don't have to deal with the current asteroid and popping out of the stack, and then popping from the top of the stack breaks the current asteroid. And if that's not the case, we could have a else statement. This is just our logic if they collide, because -1 greater than 0 means the top of the stack is greater than 0, which is positive, and current is negative. That means there's a collision. But if there's no collision, it's easy. We could just append to the top of the stack. We could do stack dot append, and then we'll just append whatever the current element is in the array. And then we could just return that. We could just return the stack. And now we could run our code. And then we just have the number 10. And like I said, I've been having fun just using the debugger, because it kind of like shows you where everything's like doing. You kind of skip through it. So we have 10, 2, and a -5. There's going to be no collision because 10 is positive and 2 is positive. So we're just going to add 10 to the stack. Here we can see the stack. And then while the top of the stack is greater than 0 and current is negative, that's not the case because current is 2. So we're going to come down here and then just add 2 to the stack. It's nice because you could see the top of the stack just has 10 in it, and then you can see current is just 2. And those are both positive, so there's no collision, so we just append it. Okay, so the next element is now -5. So -5 is negative. And then the top of the stack is the number 2. So there will be a collision, so we'll go inside this while loop. So now we're in here. And now we're getting the peak variable, which is the top of the stack. Well, if we go to the next step, we can see the top of the stack is just 2. And then here we'll do the logic. So we could say if the absolute value of peak is the absolute value of current, we'll pop the current element in the stack. In that case it is. So now we're getting rid of the 2. And now current is still negative, and then stacking -1 is now going to be 10, which is the top of the stack. So now we'll continue. But now we should go here because peak, the top of the stack, is greater than current. So we'll go to this one. First we're checking what peak is, which is 10, top of the stack. And then we're checking this condition. That's not true. This condition is true. And we break out of it to simulate the current asteroid being destroyed. So we'll break out of it. And then we'll iterate to the next step in the array. There's nothing else in the array. So now we'll just return the stack. And that's how we get 10. So it's pretty nice. Just using the actual debugger has been, say, pretty useful. And then we can copy and paste our code into here. Then we'll do a run. You gotta accept it, and then we'll just do a submit. And this should get accepted first try. It did. Looks like we beat 94% of people. Don't know how accurate that is. But if this helped in any way, please leave a like and subscribe.